Got to add myself. Hello, everybody. How you all doing? Hope you're doing good. Hello, Klaus. How you all doing? Nathan, Steve, how you all doing? So, state of the nation. I think we all really know the state of the nation at the minute, don't we? Keir Starmer's regime is in full swing. So, a bit of news that's just happened. I'm sure you're all aware of it as I was just preparing to do a live stream. Graham Linehan, is that his name? Graham Linehan. Did he create Father Ted, or was he one of the co-creators of Father Ted? I'm not sure. Anyway, so Graham Linehan, one of the creators of Father Ted, has today been arrested at Heathrow Airport by 5 armed police officers due to 3 posts that he put on X. Arrested by 5 police officers, armed police officers, for 3 posts that he just put on X. Hey everybody, how you all doing? Steve, yeah, I thought he was. He's co-creator, isn't he? Yeah, co-creator, but also did Black Books and several other brilliant things, yes. So he was arrested today for posts that he made about the trans rights movement. Going down the shitter really fast, aren't we? 5 police officers, yet they'll constantly say to you that we don't have the resources to tackle burglary, violent crime within London, but we can spare 5 officers to go to Heathrow Airport to arrest a comedian for things that he said on social media. Hey everybody, how you all doing? Hope you're all doing good. Right, let's crack into it. Right, so Steve's going to be pleased about this. I'm going to cover this while my voice is going. I'm going to cover this straight away because not a lot of people know this. But when I was talking about pepper spray in today's morning video, if you haven't already seen that, go and watch it. I was talking about pepper spray and the fact that it's a Class B firearm. Now, as Steve pointed out to me, that I should really point this out as well, that pepper spray is classed as a less lethal weapon. That might shock a few people. It's not classed as non-lethal. It's classed as less lethal. And the reason for that is because CS gas particularly attacks your respiratory system. So if you have asthma or any kind of respiratory disease and you get sprayed in the face with pepper spray, there's a good chance that you might actually die from it. It can be fatal. There is the rare occurrence as well that you can have a severe allergic reaction to the pepper spray as well. There was a case a few years ago back now, young lad sprayed in the face and it absolutely burnt his face to a crisp because he was allergic to it. It came out in red welts and everything. It's nasty stuff. It really is. Yeah, mostly non-lethal, but it is classed as less lethal than a firearm. So there you go. CS gas is really nasty. You have to inhale it when you do your training, and it is nasty stuff. And I don't know what it's like nowadays. I don't know what the training's like with CS gas now, but when we went through the training, you go in a room, they open a canister, you breathe some of the, you have, it's to show you how to use your breathing apparatus, really. And you go in, they shut the door behind you, you have your gas mask on, you have to take your gas mask off, and then you have to say your name, your number, whatever, then you put your mask on, whatever, reseal it. That's what we used to do anyway. But yeah, it's nasty stuff. You come out and you have to deal with it. You don't get any special treatment or anything like that. It's just like you've got to deal with it. They just tell you not to rub your face, don't touch your face or anything like that. the best thing to do is to let the air get to your face. That's the best thing to do. Another thing to watch out for is blue lips. If you're getting blue lips, having trouble breathing, go straight to accident and emergency. Straight away. A lot of people suggest using milk. I've seen a lot of people using water. I wouldn't use water. It's nasty stuff. It really is nasty stuff when you breathe it in. It's horrible. So what you do, you go in a room. Well, this is what I did. You go in a room. You've got your gas mask already on. They ask you if you've got a proper seal around your mask. You go in. You walk around for a bit. And then you're asked to take your masks off. You take your masks off, and then you have to see how long you can tolerate it, and then out you go. That's it. It's basically to test to make sure that you know how to get a proper seal on your respirator, mask, whatever. But it is horrendous stuff. I'm not sure if it's the same stuff that they have in pepper spray, because I've never used pepper spray. I don't know. Hey everybody, how you all doing? But yeah, it's particularly nasty stuff. I just want to put that out there that, yeah, it's classed as less lethal. So that's something you should take in consideration. Yeah, Steve. I had to do a crawl tunnel test in addition to the basic. Right, okay. Yeah, it is, yeah. I think isn't CS, it's different from Parva. CS is like a crystal type force. It's a gas, but it crystallizes. And we were told that you had to like wipe yourself down, wipe it off you. Rather than rub it in your face, wipe it off your clothes, rub yourself down a bit. Don't touch your face. That's what we were told anyway. We were told to let the wind blow it away, so that's probably why. Yeah, it is particularly nasty stuff. So just something to take in consideration when our useless police force deploy it without thinking about what they're doing beforehand. Anyway, I just wanted to cover that first off because I wanted to get that out of the way. But let's talk about Stand Up to Racism, shall we? Especially the Chesterfield chapter, because the Chesterfield chapter of Stand Up to Racism are a special kind of retard. They really are. So this is what they posted today on their webpage. This was about the Raise the Colours campaign that's taking place in the country at the minute. So they say this is apparently from some grandmother. I take no pride in any of this. Grandmother speaks up against flags appear in town. So she's not a grandmother at all. She's basically the secretary of Stand Up to Racism. And obviously they're going to have an issue with the flag. But she goes to say this. The secretary of Chesterfield Stand Up to Racism group says the campaign is a symbol of division and oppression. This coming from the people that proudly walk around the town centre with the Soviet hammer and sickle flag. These are the people that walk around the town centre with the Palestinian flag, the pride flag. These people basically have a flag for absolutely everything. I said this the other day in a video. They have a flag for everything, and I'm surprised they don't have a flag for when they go for a shit or a piss, because everything with these people needs to have a flag. And they find the flag of this nation, the Union flag of Great Britain, they find that offensive. They find the flag of England offensive, the St. George's Cross. And somebody said in my comments today, if they find that offensive, they should just leave the country. Just leave the country. You find it offensive. They're just hypocrites, complete and utter hypocrites. They really are. And obviously we've had, Clive Lewis, that lunatic who made fun of people who were in debt by gesturing a suicide by putting a gun in his mouth and pretend they were blowing their brains out. This guy stood up and said that, anybody that raises the nation's flag is basically an extremist. And I'm not surprised, because coming from extremists, because that's what they are. If you look at the Labour Party, if you look at what's represented as the Labour Party in Parliament, they're extremists. They're all extremists, aren't they? Look at some of the comments. They do have a flag for shit. It's the Palestine flag, but be careful on the dyes that that are used, as you may be allergic. Yes, couldn't agree more. This is another thing they've put out today. You're going to find this hilarious. This is something else somebody actually thought this was a good idea to put it out. Right, so this is from Stand Up to Racism again. They're posting this tweet, obviously from The Guardian, the lefties' Bible. So, prominent UK women tell right-wingers, stop linking immigration to sexual abuse. Stop using those pesky facts to destroy our arguments. Stop using data and graphs and, correlating that with the fact that we've got mass, uncontrolled, illegal and legal immigration in this country. Stop doing that. That's basically what they're saying. Stop. It's like begging us to stop defeating their arguments. Stop defeating our arguments with evidence and facts, please. And for the record, right, it's not right-wingers that are linking immigration to sexual abuse. It's the evidence. It's the evidence that's linking sexual abuse to the rise in immigration. And that's the fact that these people don't like. That's why they want to silence everybody. That's why everything about these people is censorship. Because if the facts come out, all their arguments fall flat on their face. They do. It's a simple fact of the matter. All their arguments fall flat on their face, which is why they have to have this amount of censorship. This is why nobody's allowed to talk about anything online through risk of being arrested. Because if there was a playing field of free ideas in this country, which doesn't exist anymore, by the way, that doesn't exist. You don't have free speech anymore in this country. That's long gone. With free speech, these people can't exist. They just can't exist. Because people would, in a normal, sane society, these people would just be laughed into oblivion. They would. Absolute clown show, these people are. They're insane. Remove that. Let's have a look at some of the comments. When they come up on the screen, yeah, show, that's it. I'd like to know that, Cookatoots as well. How many have they housed? Probably none. They for some reason it's not showing. What are you doing? Show. Why aren't you doing it? For some reason it's not displaying comments on. Why is that? All right, okay. There we go. It's displaying yours. How many of these house? None, because they come up with the same excuse every time, don't they? What do they always say? We don't have enough room. I'm renting. It's not in my tenancy agreement. It's every excuse under the sun not to house these people. Every single time. If you know their name and they're in the game, all of them. Yep. No free speech means no dialogue. With no dialogue, you can't have solutions. Exactly. Talking about solutions, somebody came to my video today and said, it's all well and good me saying all these things, but what's my solution for all of this? And I'll be honest with everybody, right? Politically, there are no solutions for 4 years. And it's a big if in 4 years, if we get the right type of party into Parliament, which from the crop doesn't look very promising to me. I'm just saying that. Doesn't look very promising to me. So a political solution, no, there's no political solution for 4 years. My advice for everybody would be that form communities, because eventually you're all going to need each other. You're going to need your neighbours. You're going to need friends, family, form communities. That's what you're going to need. That's where the strength lies, is in community. Because you can't stop what's coming, but you can prepare for it. That's my advice. That would be my advice. Exactly. No thinking allowed. No thinking allowed. We're literally living in 1984, aren't we? And like I said in my live stream the other day, Keir Starmer has turned V for Vendetta into an actual, it's not fiction anymore. It's a reality. We're living it. People only take action if they personally afflicted. For example, ever felt your life was threatened? Have twice. You take action. Exactly, you do. The grooming gang thing is Phil. What cabinet in the basement of someone? Yeah. So look, some of the comments beforehand, because I missed a few while I was talking. So we'll see. This is what I wanted to look at. See what will come on now. There we go. That's it. It's on now. For some reason, it won't come up before. Ex-Labour Lee Anderson invited tens of thousands of Afghan males. Yep. I can agree with that. Definitely. Some people might say 1997 when Tony Blair took power. Other countries are deporting straight away. Why can't we? Because the power that be don't want to. The UK is the blueprint. Exactly. They do have the ability. Let's not forget, right? They constantly hold up the ECRJ, the European Court of Human Rights, as a reason why they can't deport people. Yet we know on several occasions that the European Union itself has ignored the European Court of Human Rights. They can be ignored. We've seen it in Poland. Poland is in the EU and they're deporting them. Germany is in the EU, it's deporting them. So we can deport them, we can do it. It's just a willingness to do it. And that's something that our political class just don't have. Because like I mentioned in my video this morning, the reason they want these people to come in is because they want to replace the electorate. We have seen through their lies, we're rejecting their form of governance now. We're rejecting the system and they know we're rejecting the system. So what are they doing? Instead of addressing what's wrong with the system, they're just getting rid of the electorate. They're replacing us so they can bring in people that will vote for them. And it's going to massively backfire on them because the people they've been bringing in for decades now have formed their own communities. They have their own colonies within this country, and now they're having their own leaders. They're coming forward with their own parties to vote for their own issues because they never integrated into our society. We've seen it already. You've seen that the Jeremy Corbyn crazy party that's being formed. You've seen other independent Muslim parties coming to light. The Labour Party is going to get a massive rude awakening in the 2029 general election because it thinks all these people that it's been importing, the Uni Party's been importing, are going to vote for them. They're not. They're going to vote for their own issues and for their own people to be in power. That's right, Jezbollah. Have they actually named their party yet? If we need workers, we would recruit from the Commonwealth and Europe. They're coming here. They're coming here and they're becoming economically inactive, aren't they? We know they are. They're not right. They're not thick, right? So in my video today, I got tone policed. I got language policed by somebody in the comments because they should say I should stop using incompetence. But I said in the video at the very start that it's a mixture of incompetence and planned, managed decline of the country. That's what's been happening ever since Tony Blair got into power. Maybe even before that, in the John Major period. The managed decline of the country. That's what's been happening. Now, there is an element of incompetence in there because the people doing the managed decline are absolutely batshit crazy and don't have a clue what they're doing. A good example of this is Rachel from Accounts. She's clueless. Yes, she's been put in charge of the economy and she's the Chancellor of Exchequer, but she's also not qualified to do the job. For good reason. She's not qualified to do the job, so it just adds to the incompetence. They are incompetent. It's just a managed incompetence, if you know what I mean. They told us we needed workers after World War II, but that time we were exploring skilled people to Australia and New Zealand. Yeah. Vindicator, referring to them thinking they'll get votes from the imported. Exactly. They won't. They won't get any votes from them. They're starting to find that out now. The thing that we stopped doing in this country, we stopped doing it a long time ago, was investing in our own people. So instead of letting people linger around on benefits, there needs to be training schemes to get people back into work. Cut all immigration, legal and illegal, needs to stop. We're full. We need to invest in training our own people to do the jobs. And I found this out myself because usually if there's no security work, I can go and work in a care home somewhere. If there's no security work, I can go and work doing support work or something like with special needs people or something like that. But I found recently that when the security work dried up, I found it harder to get those jobs because those jobs were filled full of migrant work. So most people need stopgap jobs because nobody wants to go on to benefits. Nobody wants to do that. But all the stopgap jobs have been taken up by low-skilled immigration, which is something we don't need. We don't need that. We don't need low-skilled workers. We need high-skilled workers in different fields. That's what immigration should be for. It should be filling the gaps when we have a shortage of brain surgeons, scientists, that sort of thing. It should be a trickle. It shouldn't be a flood. It needs to be tightly controlled. And we are full. It needs to be controlled. It needs to be stopped. And like I said in my video the other day, some people are saying it needs to be stopped for 10 years. Some people are saying that it needs to be stopped for 5 years. I think it needs to be stopped for at least 20 years, in my opinion, so we can sort our infrastructure out. We need to deport millions of people from this country. We need to deport everybody. Every single person on the terror watch list needs to be kicked out of the country. Every single illegal immigrant needs to be kicked out of the country. Anybody not integrating into our society, forming their own little colonies in this country, needs to be kicked out of the country. Multiculturalism has failed. Diversity is not our strength. It's our weakness. It's our demise. That's the message that needs to be sent out. And the message that needs to be sent out loud and clear to everybody coming to this country is, if you integrate into our society, if you accept our customs and our laws, you're welcome. You'll be welcomed with open arms. If you don't, if you refuse to integrate, if you try to change our culture, if you try to change our way of life, you will be deported. And I don't think that's unreasonable. I think that's the stance of most countries. If I went to India and refused to integrate into their society or went a step further and started trying to change their culture, I would be quickly removed from the country. There's nothing wrong in wanting to preserve your culture and your way of life. There's nothing wrong with that. Over the years, that's been demonized as being racist and xenophobic. No, it's not. If it's okay for other countries, then it's okay for us. That's my point. There's nothing wrong with being a nationalist. There's nothing wrong with being patriotic. Likes of stand up to racism, the likes of these people will try to tell you that you're racist because you love your country. You love your country, you're a racist to them. And this is what annoys me about these people as well, because they will call you flag shaggers. Look at those flag shaggers with the Union flag and the St. George's Cross. They're the biggest flag shaggers out there. Look at how they display. They're patriotic towards the EU. They're patriotic towards the EU. Yeah, if you're patriotic towards England or Britain, that's racist. They're hypocrites. They're absolute and total hypocrites. They're the biggest flag shaggers out there. So look at some of the comments. Not going to Israel. Not going to Israel on September 13th. After all, why the hell are their flags there and no others? I don't know about that. I haven't looked into that. I don't know, so I can't comment on that. I wear their badges. I'm running out of spots on my shirt. Okay. Estates of poverty and castles. Yeah, that's what they call us. They call it, because we're patriotic, we like to display the Union flag and the St. George's Cross. That makes us flag shaggers because we're patriotic and we love our country. The thing is with them is they love the flags of other countries. They love the Palestinian flag. They love. I mean, we've seen them at protests. I've seen them at protests. I've seen you've seen some of the flags that are black with Arabic on it. Some of those are slogans about ISIS. Some are slogans about Hezbollah. And because our police are naive to these things, because they don't have the right intelligence or don't do their research before they go to these marches, they have no clue what these people are doing. There was a photograph the other day that I posted on Twitter when Liam Tufts got snubbed by that police officer. He wouldn't shake his hand. There's a picture of 3 police officers with a Middle Eastern gentleman doing the one finger salute. Now, the one finger salute is heavily used by ISIS. This is how clueless these people are. Exactly. Believe it or not, I think this was about 3 years ago now. They tried to display the was it the maps, the mail, was it something rather attractive, something mine attracted people flag, that was it. They tried to put that up in the town centre and it immediately got removed when they found out what it was. That's how clueless they are. They have no clue whatsoever what they're putting up sometimes. I mean, if you speak to some of these lefties, just talk to them. They have no clue what they're protesting about. They literally don't. They don't even know why they're there. While we're on protests, I know people are doing it, but the Keir Starmer is a wanker chant, the chant they do, it just sounds so low energy to me. It really does. Keir Starmer's a wanker. You know what? It grates on me. I've been watching some of the protests recently. Maybe it's because I've been constantly watching protests, and I've been watching both sides of the protests, and it grates on your mind after a bit. You hear the Nazi scum off our streets, and they've got Keir Starmer's a wanker. It's just so low energy that the counter protesters need to come up with some high energy chants. They really do. They really do. Because it does grate on your mind a little bit. It is annoying a little bit, that is. My ex-sister-in-law did the vetting for DS and SAA, they wouldn't have been passed by back then. There's a lot of stuff going on like that, Steve. There's a firm in Sheffield. I'm not going to mention their name. There's a firm in Sheffield that actually takes the SIA license for people, puts them through it, arranges it, and they get their badge, just sends it off. I know this because door supervisors in Sheffield have told me that this is where they go, especially if they've had certain criminal convictions, because if you've had any type of ABH, GBH charges against you, there's no way you're getting a SIA license. You won't get one. You won't get a license. If you've had any type of violent charge in the past, you won't get an SIA license. And I know that there are people in Sheffield that go to this particular company and they get their badges, gets put through, nothing gets said. The SIA, nobody knows what SIA is, it's the Security Industry Authority. It's the industry that controls civilian security. So all the security guards you see in supermarkets and in shops, they all have to have an SIA license. Without that, they can't legally be on the premises unless they're in-house security, which in that case, they don't need an SIA license, which is what I was looking into at some point, because I was thinking, if some of these illegal immigrant hotels have employed people specifically to be security, then they won't need an SIA license because they're classed as in-house security. And I was wondering if that's how they were getting round and not having an SIA license, because to have one, you have to have a 5-year checkable work history. You have to have a 5-year checkable address history as well. And I'm thinking to myself, how the hell are these people getting SIA licenses without all of that? I mean, I've got an SIA license. I've got one here. I'm not going to show you the number, but I'll show it. I'll try and show it on camera if I can. Now, second thoughts, I'm not, but I'm going to show my number. No, I have a license. It expires on the 16th of November, and I'm not going to be renewing it. I'm not going to be renewing it this time around. It's a massive scam. The SIA license and all that kind of stuff is a massive scam. It was set up to try and stop bogus security firms. They wanted it to be regulated because there were, in the 90s, there were lots of dodgy security firms. They still exist. Those dodgy security firms, they still exist because they know how to play the system. And it's fairly easy to get an SIA license. It really is. But they are SIA means you have to be able to speak English. Yeah. But this is what I'm saying, Steve. A lot of these people probably aren't getting their badges through legal means. They might be going to one of these companies like in Sheffield, where you just go to the company, you give them your personal details, they'll have somebody sit the exam for you, and then you get your badge. Mate, I've literally had no bites in security. Nothing at all. Literally every person I see around my town centre now is of Asian origin, is of Middle Eastern origin in a security position. The only people that are in town that have got security badges now are the ones that have been doing it for years. You can't get a look in. It's basically, the industry is totally, it's all diversity, equity and inclusion hires now. At one time, you could, if you couldn't get a job Usually people on the doors, door supervisors, would do security jobs in the week. That's what they do. They do the doors on a weekend, and they do probably 4 12-hour shifts, probably Monday to Thursday, and then they do the weekend. They do the Friday, the Saturday, and the Sunday on the doors. But nowadays you can't get that. This is what I'm talking about. Your holdover jobs that you would get if work's a bit dry, if work dries up a little bit, you can't get it anymore because it's all been taken by low-skilled immigration, which is usually what Indigenous people will go for. You just can't get it anymore. Because the job centres, charities put people through the SIA license and they're giving them away like confetti. It's a similar thing to what happened with the fork truck license jobs. They started giving away the licenses like confetti, and what happened? It flooded the market with cheap foreign labour, and the wages went down. My mate was a fork truck driver. He was earning a fortune as a fork truck driver in the 90s before this influx. And then as soon as the market was flooded with cheap labour, wages went down. Same things happened in the security industry. They flooded the market with cheap labour, the wages have gone down. Nobody in the right mind is going to sit on a supermarket door, which is what you do, sit on a supermarket door for 12 hours usually, take abuse, life is in danger, because that's what happens now. Being on a supermarket door is like being on the doors at night now. It really is. It's very, very dangerous. One of my friends who's a retail security officer in the town where I live, he told me the other day that he stopped a gentleman and he phoned the police and they came around and they got him for carrying a 17-inch hunting knife. Now, security guards only get minimum wage. You telling me that you are going to stand on a door for minimum wage, risking your life, when the company you work for won't even allow you to defend yourself because they have a no hands-on policy? Literally every security firm I know now has this policy. It's a deter, don't detain, which basically just makes security guards obsolete. The only reason you see a security guard in a supermarket or in a shop is for insurance purposes, because the shop can't get insurance without there being security in the store. That's the part and parcel of it. That's the reason why you see security. It's not for your safety. It's not to deter thieving or stop the thieves. It's purely because the supermarket or the shop needs that security officer in the store to get their insurance. So when things do get nicked, they can just claim it back on their insurance. Of course, we get it in the neck. Security gets it in the neck because then they come up, why is the shrinkage so high in this shop? Why aren't you doing your job? And it's like, well, your own policies stop us from doing that job. You won't let us tackle the shoplifters. You won't let us get stuck in and stop these people. Because if you think about it, with so few police, what would help them out? If you had properly trained security guards that could tackle the petty crime, that could stop the shoplifters, that you could like kick them out, physically remove them like you can in a nightclub, it would stop. It would start to cut crime. It would be a deterrent. But the SIA comes along, and oh my God, Steve will tell you about this. I went on the SIA training course 3 years ago, because your license lasts for 3 years. And the things they had us doing was unbelievable. They had us carrying a drunk person down some steps. It took 4 of us to do it, because this is what they said. If you're going to remove somebody from your venue that's drunk, this is how you must do it. And like we were pointing out to them, some venues don't even have 4 security officers, 4 doormen in the venue. So how are you expecting us to do it? And like we had a head doorman in there with us who was on the training course with us, and he said, "I'm not going to take all my blokes off the venue floor to come and do this manoeuvre because whilst we're doing this, all hell is breaking loose and fights are breaking out in the venue." The actual course itself is insane. There's lots of wokeness in there, as you can imagine. There's lots of wokeness bullshit in there. It's just insane. It's insane. That's why I don't do. I used to do door supervisor work. I don't do it anymore because they literally put your life at risk. You have something called physical interventions on the door supervisor course, and this is where they teach you how to physically remove somebody from a venue. And half the stuff they show you, if you used it, would get you killed. It would. You're supposed to gently escort somebody out and then give them the jazz hands. You're supposed to wave to them with the jazz hands to show them that you're not hostile towards them. It's insane. Whereas back in the 90s, if you're on the door, you messed about, you got a slap, you got banned. That was it. Job done. You never came back. People knew the score back then. You basically, you fuck around, you find out. That was it. And that was preventative. There was a time when they would do that. But ex-army, yeah, when I was first doing security back in the 90s, there was a lot of ex-army in there. But now it's the bigger firms have taken over. It's all got woke. They frown upon people with military experience. I think that's why I'm finding it hard to find security work, because they see people as who have security military experience as being a liability. That's what they see. I went into the job centre a few weeks back because I was looking at some courses, and the security staff they had in there, bearing in mind that some people that go in there, your crackheads, your scumbags, they will probably most likely need to be dealt with if they get sanctioned because they're being idiots. Now, the security staff they've got in there is a 5'2" fat woman who can barely walk up the stairs, can barely get around, and she's the supervisor. The main, they have like 3 guards on every floor. There's three on the bottom floor and 3 on the top floor, and none of them could handle a situation if it kicked off. Really couldn't. There's been times when it has kicked off in there where I've had to intervene to help them because they weren't capable of doing it. And yet I can't get a job as security in those places because of diversity, equity, and inclusion policy. If me, a qualified, military background, all that kind of thing, if I went in there with my CV, showed them my CV, and then you've got women that are in the mix as well, women, disabled people, people of different ethnicity, they would all get put to the front of the queue. The most qualified get put to the back of the queue because then they're not the certain demographic they want. This is the whole thing. Nobody in society is being chosen on their merit. They're being chosen on characteristics. You're being chosen on what skin color you are, what gender you are, what sexuality you've got, whether you're disabled. Now, if you don't have any of those things, say if you're white, straight, male, straight to the back of the queue. Straight to the back of the queue. That's what happens. And that's not just in security. That's in every single job that's out there now. That's the way that employers pick their staff, because the government forces them to tick boxes because of diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. Laws, shit. So we're talking about. Oh God, yeah. And you know what? I've had this. I've been in interviews. and I've been in the job. You've been in the probationary period for a few weeks, because normally when you do security, it's normally a 3-month probationary period. And I've had it where you know your company has been looking at your social media. They've been looking at your YouTube channel. They've been looking at your Facebook or your Twitter, and they've come up to me and they've used every excuse under the sun to dismiss me. They said, "We don't feel you're right for the role." And I know exactly what's happened. It's like, yeah, somebody's seen my YouTube channel. That could be a reason why I'm not getting any bites as well, could be because of the YouTube thing, because of what I'm saying on here. But that's my responsibility. I knew that going in, that this could happen. I am actually close to getting the channel monetized. There's just some paperwork I've got to sort out, and the channel will be monetized. So that's going to be great. But yeah. But that's the state of the country at the minute. It's insane what is going on in this country. Obviously, earlier, I know somebody in the chat was saying earlier what's happened at Heathrow Airport. Graham Linehan, a co-creator of Father Ted, was arrested by 5 armed police officers for 3 posts on X. That's what that was all about. Really? Wow. Yeah, this is how dangerous it is. I was working at I can't mention the name because for obvious reasons, but I worked in a well-known cheap clothes store in the town centre. You could probably all guess what it is. And constantly we were getting crackheads and drunks using it as a thoroughfare through to the back of the town instead of going round. They'd use our shop to come and hide in after they'd been thieving as well, whilst thieving in our shop as well. And you know, the security staff I had with me, the supervisor was useless, absolute clown. Every time there was trouble, rushed down, went on the cameras, didn't help out on the shop floor or anything like that. Too scared to do anything. I caught him once hiding behind the dressers as I was tackling some hefty crackheads with dogs at the front entrance. He did one. He'd run away. The other one was neither use nor ornament, too busy talking to the girls in the changing room, stuff like that. The staff on the changing rooms, not watching the floor or anything like that. Completely useless. Absolutely, totally useless. Every time I was on a shift, I was on my own, basically. Even when they were with me, I was on my own. I applied for a delivery job at Tesco. Is there option where you could sign in with your Facebook profile? I won't do. Yeah, I won't do that. No, don't do that. Yeah, definitely don't do that. Some security firms now do actually check your social media before they employ you. They do a social media check to make sure you're the right kind of person for the job, if you know what I mean. It could have been worse. He might have been trying to dress on. Yeah. We've had that as well. I've had that. The store I was at had unisex changing. So they had male and female, but they also had unisex to accommodate the other demographic, if you know what I mean. And on this one particular day, I'm going to say particular demographic for obvious reasons, but I'm guessing you all know who I'm talking about. The particular demographic was trying to go into the female changing rooms, and I stopped them. And wow, what did they kick off? And the blokes, the men who were waiting for their wives were saying, yeah, you did the right thing. Because if you hadn't stopped him, we would have. Because there's no way we want a man going in women's changing rooms with women and children in there. And quite rightly so. Obviously, because the store was woke, you know, I got reprimanded for it. You can't do that. And it was like, it wasn't long after that I quit. I just quit. I'd had enough. Because that's the big, what the general public don't realize is, because a lot of people, when they say, oh, security are useless, they don't do anything. Well, I'll let you into a little secret. Half the time, the reason why security don't do anything is because they get it in the ear from management. Management don't back them up whatsoever. So, say you intervene, and I have intervened. I've intervened in a drunken fight in store before to split them both up. Been reprimanded for that. Not allowed to get involved. Shouldn't have got involved, even though they were wrecking the store. And my primary function within the store was loss prevention, protection of the staff, and protection of the public. Those were on the site instructions, SIs. Those are your site instructions. Those are things you are supposed to adhere to. But the thing the general public don't factor in is that you're constantly at war with the management of the store. You are. The amount of shoplifters that I have banned from store that management have allowed back in again, I've lost count of. There was one incident in a well-known supermarket chain that I was at, that was doing temporary work at. I stopped a shoplifter. I was following him around the store because I knew who he was, and I made sure he knew that I knew who he was. I was following him around the store constantly, so he wouldn't steal anything. He went to management and complained and said, he's been following me all around the store. And even when I showed them, because they were on Shopwatch, which is similar to PubWatch, Shopwatch lists all the known local shoplifters in the area. And I showed the manager, said, he's a known shoplifter. If I hadn't been walking around the store watching him, you'd have lost thousands of pounds in expensive wines and spirits and stuff. So what did the manager do? Can you guess what the manager did? Can anybody guess what the manager did? He gave the shoplifter a free bottle of wine so he didn't feel offended. That's what we're up against. People are so scared about being called racist. It's just crazy. That's why I won't do retail anymore. I won't do it. I used to like it. I used to like being on the front line. I used to like frontline security. Of course, not only do you see action, of course. But yeah, that's what we're up against. We're up against people like that. You know, I've had police officers come round and say to me, when I've been in store, and say, why don't you stop them? Why haven't you stopped them? And then I show them the site instructions. I said, it's in their policy. They won't let us do anything. They won't allow us to stop these people, kick them out. Because we can. We had a live streamer come into store. She was a nut job. She was a left-wing live streamer. She came into the store, and I went to the manager and I said, right, I said, we can remove her. I said, all you've got to do is come with me, remove her implied rights of access. So at that point, she will be trespassing. I says, at that point, I can escort her off the premises for trespassing. I says, if she resists, it then becomes aggravated trespass, and then we can get the police involved. So they did it, and I managed to remove her from the store. But that's all it takes. All it takes is one good manager. It's like, yeah, right. Just remove their implied rights of access. I can escort them out for trespass. That's all you've got to do. And this was another thing as well. This was another thing that was annoying. We couldn't work off our own initiative. We constantly had to ask a manager for permission to do anything that we wanted to do. And you just can't work in those situations because, as Steve will tell you, anything to do with shoplifting or anything like that, it's over in a second. It's over in a second. And sometimes you have to have the ability to make a split-second decision about what course of action you're going to take. And if you've got to constantly go to a manager and ask them for permission to do something, sometimes you can't even find a manager, then that also hinders you doing your job as a security officer. So the next time you see it on Twitter or you see it on social media where a security officer is just stood there and just thinks, fuck it, you've got a good insight now as to why. Usually they can't do anything. They can't do anything. They just can't do anything. And if you get yourself on camera or in social media, or the customers film you and it goes viral on social media, then your career is over. Guaranteed, it's over. Because they won't touch you with a barge pole. That's the state of things. Like somebody said in the chat earlier, everything's backwards in this country. Literally everything is backwards way around. Instead of congratulating security guards that have the initiative to get stuck in and deal with these people, they get reprimanded, they get punished. So that just teaches them, fuck it, I'm not going to do anything in future. Why should I bother? Why should I care? Yep, that's everything. That's why everything's locked up in a sensible. Exactly. This was amazing. That the local Tesco in the town centre, right, thought it would be a good idea to slash their security budget. So they didn't have any security at all. They were getting hit every single day. Every single day. Because I was on the radio. I was on the radio, we were listening all the time because we had Shot Watch. Listening on the radio. It's like, oh, been hit again. Boots was another constant one. Boots, Tesco, Primark, constantly getting hit. Constantly getting hit because of their policies, because there's literally no deterrent. And this should be important to you guys because that gets transferred onto the price of goods. So for all the loss that they lose, for all the shrinkage, they have to account for that. And the only way they can account for that is to increase the prices of the products in their stores. So really, you should be demanding from shops that they allow their security to do their jobs. They will listen to customers. If customers give them feedback and say, we want your security to do your jobs, to, start tackling these criminals in the shop. And it's not just thieving, it's just antisocial behavior. People just think they can walk into a shop and do anything they like. Yeah, totally, Steve. I've had dealings with Boots. I think I lasted a day in Boots. I think up where I am in the East Midlands, the security company that runs all the boot stores up here is a security company called TSS, Total Security Solutions. They're useless. Anyway, I've banged on about enough about security. So look at some of the comments on Boots' website. They had female products on the people's product. Okay. In the meantime, we pay everything, including taxes. Exactly. They do not care about the money. They're destroying the currency. Yeah, they don't care. So, did you see that videos of black lad, how to get free drink in England? He walked into a Greggs, got a bottle of Oasis and started to drink it in front of the security guard. Yeah. Now, a lot of people will have a go at the security guard and say, well, why aren't you stopping him? Well, now you know why. Because a lot of these companies, and I won't be surprised if Greggs have, well, because they're as woke as hell, they have a deter, not detain policy. So that means a no hands-on policy. He's physically not allowed to deal with the people in store. And to be honest with you, for whatever we say about the police, they get immensely pissed off at the fact that security guards can't deal with petty crime in store because it ties up their day. They get pissed off. I mean, the amount of times I've had them come in store because, can you come and deal with this person? It's like, well, why can't you deal with them? And like I said, you explain to them, they just look shocked. It's like, yeah, I know. There's nothing worse than training to do a job, going to do the job, and then not being able to do it to your best of your ability. You can't blame. No, you literally can't. You literally can't blame them. What's the law around background checks? Wouldn't there be safeguarding risk without them so company wouldn't be liable if any incident? I'm thinking that even if now I've never been in-house security, I've always been a third party. I've been employed by a company to go into a retail outlet and do security for them. So I've never been in-house security. But from what I can tell, the company itself is supposed to do a background check. Even though we haven't got an SAA license, they still have to do a background check on you. And I think that would be for like insurance purposes and that sort. I think they just do a basic. What is it? It's God. What's it called now? Steve will know. You have to have them done. It's if you work in any type of environment where there's vulnerable people. I think they just do a basic background check, not the background check that you do for security. They just do a basic, have you got any criminal convictions for anything kind of check. I'm an American who visited the UK this year and I was amazed that there was security guards at McDonald's. It's wild to me. Yeah. Yeah, that's it, DBRS. Yeah, that's the one, DBRS. Someone kicked off with me in a Tesco's after he bumped into me. When he was walking backwards, problem is Tesco's pretty much didn't seem to want to ban the antisocial customer. No, they won't. Half the time they just don't want to cause a scene, they just want it to go away. More food banks than McDonald's, yes. Yeah, I'm gonna try and find that comment again because I want to like address it. Where is it? Here we go. It is. Right, yeah. So McDonald's. If you ever watched Charlie Veitch, the one in Manchester, one near Piccadilly Gardens, he calls that the most dangerous McDonald's in the West, and he's not wrong. Yeah, they've literally started. It'll not be long before they start deploying security at schools. That'll be the next thing, and it's not because there's going to be violent students or anything like that. It will be to prevent mass shootings. That's what that will be about. They'll literally have to put security on there because they put our new arrivals, our new undocumented people very close to schools. So they're going to be forced to take action because parents will demand action eventually because these scumbags are walking about taking pictures of our kids and stuff like that. Now, I've not talked about this, right? So does everyone remember that incident in Scotland recently with the young girl with the axe and the knife? Because a lot of people were just saying, oh, she's just a violent thug and all that kind of stuff. Well, she wasn't. There was a whole lot more to that story than was in the initial video that I watched. I watched the other videos to it. And the person, there was like a man and a woman, and they'd actually physically attacked one of the girls beforehand. And so she went out and got a knife and an axe to defend herself from these people. That's what she did. That's why in the video you can hear her saying, "Stay away from my sister, you scumbags." That's what that was all about. And now she's gone viral. But of course, the gentleman in question wasn't arrested. It was the young girl that was arrested for carrying an offensive weapon. But that's the state of our country right now. It's a very dangerous place, very dangerous. I saw Joe Owens in Liverpool Centre getting strongly lectured by a young immigrant on how immigrants built England. It's a great revealing moment. Yeah, it's a load of bollocks, isn't it? According to my breaks, I don't work there as worth. McDonald's is Fallowfield. That all the crackers go in. Piccadilly Gardens is so close. Okay. He was an Albanian, yeah, not surprised. Yeah, I saw the scumbag. Yeah, I saw him. He got social media posts where he was asking. This was him saying this. He was saying he was asking why bitches weren't getting into his car. So you can kind of guess what the type of person he was. I've got a message for Ben Habib at Advance UK. Where's Rupert Lowe, James Murdoch, and Nick Griffin? Oh, God. Jack, we've been over that. We've been over that, haven't we, mate? Yes, Steve. I just want to say, while everybody's here as well, if not everybody's aware, I passed the 4,000 subscriber mark. I think it was Saturday, on Saturday. Channel's growing steadily. I just want to thank everybody for liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. It means a lot. And I'm getting, people are loving the morning walk videos. That's always going to be a thing on this channel. Always going to do that. That's going to be a thing on this channel. Everybody loves the morning walk videos. So eventually, I know this live streaming is going to become a big thing on this channel. We're going to start and do videos. We're going to start, I'm going to play videos. We can take them apart live. We can watch them. We can look at them and stuff like that. It's all dependent on the new laptop that I'm getting. So I've got to wait for that. Once that comes, we can really kick things off on this channel. I'm fairly limited at the minute with what I can do with this laptop without it crashing and stuff. There has been somebody in the comments telling me what to do, so I've taken that advice. I will try and implement that, but I'm not giving out any hope for that. So yeah, the thing is, we're gonna make this thing big. It's gonna take off. It is. We're gonna go big. We get more viewers. We're gonna grow the channel. We're gonna be a tour de force. We are. Because it's not me. Without you guys, without an audience, this channel would be nothing. It wouldn't. I know a lot of people say that, but I actually genuinely mean it. Without you guys, this channel would be nothing. Without people watching my videos, without people commenting, without people leaving likes and sharing my content. Lots of people do that. People giving me shout outs and stuff like that. It's been brought to my attention that people are giving me shout outs. Is it Irish Dad, Dino Bane, Danny Roscoe? There's a few others as well. Yeah. A laptop, desktop, my man. That'll be. I've got to go with how the channel is. So as the channel grows, so will the technology. That's the way I'm going to do it. But I get what you're meaning. Is nobody else concerned that every migrant hotel is a small army of migrant security guards? Yes, that's a concern. I've actually tried to apply for a few of them because I was actually going to try and infiltrate one. And it's like, not a chance. If you're white and English, you've got no chance of getting a job at one of these places. Thanks, Martin. Thanks, Martin. Really appreciate that, mate. Yes. Had to remind someone that the morning walk videos are unscripted. Yeah, none of this is scripted. You can probably tell. I make mistakes, but it's bare knuckles. It's like it all comes from the heart, and that's where it should always come from. And I'm never going to be one of these polished podcaster, the Lotus Eaters, or one of these supposedly news channel type YouTubers. That's not what I am. I'm just an average, everyday person in the UK giving their impression of what's happening in this country. That's all I'm doing. That's it. VSB, even if you blacked up, you wouldn't convince them. Tell him no. These live streams are great. Way to spread the word. Yeah, exactly. The only reason I haven't done more live streams is financial limitations and just the level of equipment I've got at the minute, that's been holding me back. But I think if the channel's going to grow further, it's time to invest in it, and I'm going to have to get a new computer. It's actually a proper streaming laptop, so that's what it was designed to do. It's actually designed to stream games, so it should be quite powerful for that. They knew full well that native security guards would eventually talk about what they saw inside the hotels, like the ex-employees that are coming out. Yeah, exactly. And this is exactly why that guy in, where was it, in Norwich, the one that came out and whistle blew, that's why the police went round to his house and kicked his door in and arrested him. It's why they're arresting all the leaders. All the leaders of these demonstrations, if you haven't already realised, are being arrested. Look at, was it James Harvey? James Harvey, the one that organised the protests in Norwich. He got arrested. Yeah, that's it, James Harvey. He was arrested. This weekend, we've had, what's his name? Epping Hotel organiser. What's his name? They're all getting arrested. And it's right. Someone brought this up. The reason they're getting arrested is so they can slap Draconian, that's it, Callum Barker, that's it, Steve, thank you. It's so they can slap draconian bail restrictions on them to stop them from protesting, because what they hope will happen is that people will they want to kill the momentum. That's what they want to do. The police, the state, they want to kill the momentum of this movement. That's what they want to do. And they think by arresting the leadership, it's doing lots of things. For one thing, it's sending a message out to other people not to become a leader of a movement. Don't organise protests or you could be arrested. That's one thing they're doing it for. And the other thing is to kill the momentum of the protests. They want it to stop. And so obviously, these sort of tactics won't work, because the way you defeat these sort of tactics is to have lots of leaders. You basically, it's the same in the military, right? Each man is trained to do the other man's job, because if one man goes down, the whole unit doesn't go down. It's just one man, and you can carry on fighting. And that's the mentality that's needed within the Patriot movement when you're doing protests. You need to have somebody that can instantly take over from you as leader of those protests if you go down. And the more this happens, the less the police will start to use these tactics, because they'll start to understand that it isn't working. It's like a Spartacus type moment. We're all Spartacus. It's that sort of mentality. Everybody needs to stand up. Everybody needs to be counted. That's the way you defeat those sort of tactics. There was, and that Asian guy Ward went down to DJ Mead and told everyone about the shit that was going on. I think it was in Manchester, thereabouts. Yeah, I think I saw that one. It is what's called a cell structure. Exactly. Nothing radicalized people faster than injustice. Well, this is the point, isn't it? This is the point. If you close down all the avenues of free expression and peaceful ways to have yourself listened to by the government, then what does that lead to? It's not a good path, is it? And surely the police can see this. That the people, people need avenues where they can let off steam, and that is social media. That is at protests. But they're clamping down on it. And I don't agree. I don't agree with these dispersal orders at all. I don't agree with them at all. I don't think there should be a time limit on the allotted time that people are allowed to protest, because that kind of defeats the object of a protest. Because if you wanted, you could literally, under your Section 10 human rights, you could protest 24 hours a day. That's your legal right to do so under human rights. You are allowed to do that. There shouldn't be any time. As long as you're being peaceful and you're not causing trouble or a menace or anything like that, you could just sit there silently and protest. And there's nothing the state should be able to do to stop you. But as Steve has mentioned before, my moderator, he's mentioned this, eventually you're going to see these exclusion zones going up like we have at the abortion clinics, like they had at the oil refineries when the Just Stop Oil people were going down there and trying to wreck the oil refineries. They had an exclusion zone around them where you simply weren't allowed to protest within these zones. And that's what's going to happen around these illegal immigrant hotels. They'll have an exclusion zone around them that won't allow anybody anywhere near them. And if that happens, you just change tactics. When that happens, you just change tactics. You take your protest elsewhere. You take your protest outside the council offices and you protest there. The point is, you never ever stop until they give us what we want. That's the whole point. You don't stop. As many will probably come and tell me in the comments, we actually have an unwritten Bill of Rights in this country as well. Yep, they don't. They do for some, but don't forget, some animals are more equal than others under this present Starmer regime, aren't they? Take it to the government offices. As long as it's peaceful, fair enough. And it's right what people have been saying recently. If you look at everything that the government is doing so far, look at what they're doing. Everything they're doing is geared up to try and make the public violent. They want to break us. They want to break us, make us violent, because then they can step in with a whole host of other draconian rules and regulations that they will drop on us. Digital ID, curfews, that sort of thing. That's what they want. That's what they're looking to implement. It's the crisis solution scenario. They create a crisis and their solution is the policies and methods that they wanted to implement all along. Look at the illegal immigrant crisis that we have at the minute. Their solution is digital ID, because if you have digital ID, then they can check who is illegal and who isn't. That's the whole reason why they're shipping these people in, not only to replace us as voters, but to also as a sideline to implement in digital ID. So look at what Steve was saying. I didn't see what Steve was saying then. Sorry, Steve. Now, Bill of Rights is when we have unwritten constitution, and its two is bog roll. Right, okay. Now, this is my point, because a lot of people have been telling me, is it Graham Norris? Graham Norris, the English Constitution Party. Loads of people have been telling me to research him, and I have been doing that. Now, what I intend to do at some point, like I said, once I've got the new setup, is to try and get this guy onto the channel and we can have a chat, because I don't know, I'll be honest with you, I don't know too much about the unwritten constitution of this country. And I'm probably guessing a lot of people, Graham Moore, that's it. Yeah. I'm going to try and get him to come on the live stream and we can have a chat. Because I've got no clue about the English Constitution at all. I assume that a lot of it has been overridden over the years by acts of parliament and, you know, laws and stuff like that, which is why it's basically, but like Steve was saying, it's basically bog roll. Unless you repeal a lot of the newer acts in parliament and the laws, then it's basically ineffective. It still exists, but it's just a piece of paper. You can't do anything with it. It's a bit like the Magna Carta. Lots of the Magna Carta has been overridden by modern laws and acts of parliament. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, exactly. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same thing that's happened with the Magna Carta. You would, when people come up to me and say, we need to enact the Magna Carta, we've already got a constitution, it's an unwritten constitution. What they don't realise is it's all been overwritten, and we need a massive repealing of all these laws to make them effective again. Yeah, this is it. Yes, everything is overwritten. Take the right to bear arms. It went away in 1922. So there you go. It does exist. It's just been overwritten by existing law to take it away from us. We've had so much of our freedom taken away from us. It's unbelievable. I saw that Gobster Talks came in earlier. Just completely missed his comment. I'm going to zip back through the chat and see if I can find it. So I just remembered he came in. I was talking at the time. I forgot. Let's see what he said. I don't know where it is. I've got no clue where that is. See if I can find it. I don't know where it is in the chat. Way up here. No, it's way up here somewhere. No, I can't find it. Oh well. Yeah, it does. English common law needs to be abolished and an actual constitution written. Yeah, exactly. And there needs to be checks and balances for government because we need protection between terms in Parliament. We do. Because at the minute we've got no protection. We've got no protection from our government whatsoever. So they could go totally mental like they're doing at the minute, and we've got no protection from them. If you look at the Americans, they've got the Constitution. The Constitution protects them from tyranny. We don't have that in this country. That's what I want to see. And to be honest with you, I've not seen any of the parties talking about that. I haven't seen them talking about it, about how they want a English constitution. We need one. Yeah, this is what a lot of people. Magna Carta sounds like an ice cream that costs about that. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a lot of people forget that the people who wrote the American Constitution were English. I'll be honest with you, I think there's lots of things that we need to change this country. I think for one, I think this might be a bit controversial, but I think the monarchy needs to die. It should have died with the Queen. She will be the last great monarch we ever have. Charles is just pale in comparison. He doesn't even come anywhere near her. We need to be a constitutional republic like America, definitely. I think that's the way forward. We need protections. We need protecting from our government because we've got a prime example of it now of what happens when we don't have those protections. You're left at the mercy of a tyrannical government for 5 years. I think government terms need to be shorter. I think they need to be same as America, 4 years. There needs to be more separation between institutions as well, like the judiciary, the police, the government, CPS, police. There needs to be actual laws that separate them, so they could never align. Like we have Keir Starmer, where he's telling certain judges to do a certain thing. That shouldn't be allowed. It probably isn't allowed. He shouldn't be allowed to do certain things. So the government will be prohibited from influencing anything below them. They're not allowed to influence the judiciary. They're not allowed to influence the police. There needs to be that separation. Hello, Keith. How you doing? How you doing, buddy? But we need some form of governance, but I would say much smaller, maybe more at a local level rather to national level. Martin, the closer the power is to the people, the more control they have over it. Having centralised power down in Westminster is never a good idea. We need more power close to the people and in local government. That's where it needs to be. Right, okay. So let's look at that. So we can have just laws and rights. Yeah, but who's going to run the country? Who decides what our foreign policy is? Who decides, when we go to war? We need some kind of central government to decide those things, some kind of administrative body that decides that. Because if you have lots of separate individual tiny governments around the country, they'll be forever fighting over what to do. You do need some kind of central government, but it has to be small, centralized government somewhere where all the power lies with the local government, for the people anyway. Your day-to-day life lies with the local government. The running of the country, that should be where the centralized power is. I'll be honest with you, I don't have any answers to that. I'm just giving out suggestions and opinions. People might have different ideas. I don't know. But devolved government need to be very strident controls or get that things with. Yeah. Either way, whatever happens in this country, it's all going to come to a head. And it's going to happen before 4 years. Definitely. It's like what I said in my video this morning. Look at how much damage this Starmer regime has done in a year. Imagine what they'll do in 4 years. Our country is going to be unrecognisable by the time any general election comes around. That's why I don't think there's any political solution to the situation. Now, I'm not inciting violence or anything like that. I'm just observing. I'm just observing the country. Everything that I say in my videos is just me giving observations about what I'm seeing around me in the country. And I've said people to this. I've had people come to my comment sections and say, we need a revolution, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm honest with them. I've said, is that really what you want? Have you ever seen the horrors of war? Because when you go and have your little fight at your football match on a Saturday afternoon, that's it. It's over. You can walk away. It's done. War is there 24/7. You don't walk away from it. It's there 24/7, constantly. That's war. And that war won't be fought in some foreign country miles away like we saw in Iraq, Afghanistan, places like that. A civil war is on your doorstep. It's fought in your streets. It's fought in the towns and cities where you live. And the question I would always say to these people who come to my video saying, oh, we need a revolution, there's no political solution to this, we need a violent revolution. And it's like, well, do you really want your children to see the horrors of war? Because that's what will happen. And I don't sugarcoat anything on this channel. I'm blunt, I'm straight to the point. You don't want to see the horrors of war. Your children don't want to see the horrors of war. I have seen the horrors of war. I've seen it up close and personal. And, this is to the police as well. They've probably been to a few instances where they've seen dead bodies or they've seen car accidents. and stuff like that. And yes, it's horrific, and I feel for them. But they've never seen anything like what war is like, where you go into entire towns and everybody's dead, where you can't walk away from it. You can walk away from a crime scene. You can walk away from an accident and get a few minutes to yourself. In a war zone, you can't do that because it's all around you. That's the reality of war, civil war. As somebody once said, there's nothing civil about civil war. It's just war. I know I'm getting a bit serious, but I just want to make it very, very clear that I don't want civil war in this country. I don't want civil unrest. I've seen it. I've lived it. It's not pretty. It's nasty, and I don't want any of you guys to see it. I really don't. I don't want you to see the things that I've seen. I don't want my children to see the things that I've seen. The only thing I ask Keith is don't spam in the chat. Don't spam, buddy. Yeah, exactly. We're on the path. I've got no doubts in mind we're on the path. But, you know, there's a part of me that hopes that maybe we can pull it back from the brink. But with what we've got in Parliament and the people, I just don't see how. I really don't. And the last thing I want is anybody to get violent. Don't get violent at protests, because you'll be giving them exactly what you want and you'll be ruining your life. Because what will they do? They will just come round to your house. You might think you're getting away with it at the protest, but we can all see the evidence gatherers. These people will find you. They will kick your door in at dawn. They will drag you away from your family, and you won't see them again for years, not under this Starmer regime. And it's very, very unlikely that any future government will let you out any early, because they'll all be the same. There will be no difference. There won't. Well, I'm warning you against that, Keith. Civil war leads to UN troops and a one world government is the plan. Exactly. That's a good point. Defend yourself. The only thing I would tell people to do is to prepare for the inevitable. Prepare for it. Prepare to defend your family and your friends. Make preparations. Have a plan. That's what I would suggest to people. Anyone disputes winning stretch back, go left, and it bends your mind. They said, so does dealing with victims' serious crime. Yeah, I know, mate. I know, Steve, and I have said that. But I think some police have got a romantic idea about how it's going to go down as well. The fact of the matter is the police simply aren't trained for a civil conflict. They're not. They're trained to arrest and detain people. Full stop. Yeah, they've got armed response units that can respond to violent situations if they need to, but that's a far part away from an actual army that could take on. And I'm not even saying it's the English that are going to kick off. It's probably not the English that are going to kick off first, or the British. You know, I've spotted the signs that maybe it's going to be the Islamists. It's going to be the Islamic terror cells that have been allowed to come into this country that will kick off first. This isn't going to be the British Patriots against the Starmer regime type civil war. That's not going to happen. It's going to be different factions fighting each other. It's going to be fractured like it is in Iraq. Iraq is very, very fractured country. you've got warlords, you've got drug dealers, you've got human traffickers, and they're all fighting amongst each other for power. You've also got the Sunni and Shia Muslims in the background that hate each other. They're at each other's throats all the time. That's the sort of country you're looking at in a civil war. It's not going to be like the American Civil War, where it was North v South, where it was two very distinct armies. It's going to be fractured. Like I said, it's going to be like Yugoslavia, where you've got different militias that change allegiance on a daily basis to what they're fighting for. Plus, people don't realise that if conflict does break out, you have no law anymore. Law breaks down. Law breaks down completely. You've got a completely lawless society, which adds yet more danger. Yugoslavia was a literal horror show. Villages burned alive, entire towns left shallow graves. You don't want that, and if you do, you're beyond help. Exactly. We went into villages in Iraq, and ISIS had just wiped out an entire town because one person refused to join up with them. They just wiped them all out. And like you said, we've seen the things where they've burnt people in cages. They burnt Christians in cages because they refused to deny their faith. We've seen that. Without going into too much detail, we've seen children with horrific injuries. They just wiped out everybody. War is not pretty. It isn't. It's not romantic. People have this romantic notion of a crusade where you've got knights running through the streets with armor on and the St. George's Cross. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. It's not Call of Duty where you can respawn once you get hit. Once you're dead, you're dead. And I'm not saying this to put a down on anybody. I'm just warning you about the reality of war. It's not pretty. It isn't. I hope to God that's a path we never go down. That really is. I really hope it is. I hope that we can avert this somehow, that some solution comes up to avoid it. Thanks, Richard. Like I said, it won't be yet that I can speak to him, but it'll be in the future once I get my setup. Here the left are eating themselves and they hate pew-pews while the right love them. Should be quick. Yeah. People just don't have a clue. And I see them constantly on my videos because the videos where I'm warning against violence and I'm like calling for calm and calling for cool, they think I'm a traitor, but it's like, I just don't want these people to ruin their lives. I don't. But where would you rather be, right? Where would you rather be when the shit hits the fan? Would you rather be with your family protecting them? Or would you rather be in a prison cell worrying about your family, knowing that all shit has hit the fan? Where would you rather be? Because if you go out there, you start rioting, you start causing trouble, you start being violent at these protests, that's exactly where you're going to end up. You're going to end up in prison, and then you're no good to anybody. What use are you to your family if you're banged up over some stupid throwaway protest that isn't going to get our country back? That's exactly right. Yes, have to play smart, the long game. There is nothing wrong in being prepared. Just don't instigate anything. Just don't instigate anything at all. Stay peaceful. They want you to be violent because then instantly the state knows how to deal with you. That's what they want. Why do you think they're pushing all of our buttons at the minute? Why do you think they're arresting all these leaders at these protests? It's to push the public's buttons. It's to get you violent. Why do you think last night at Epping, on Sunday, they arrested that woman for putting the flag over the banister at the council offices, even though Steve said quite rightly, she's actually a councillor. It was to push people's buttons. They were hoping people were going to kick off. In the background, the government will have planned all of this out. They will be ready for this. Immediately, as soon as any kind of civil unrest kicks off, you will see curfews. You will see martial law. Straight away, that's exactly what they want. Don't fall for it. Don't be triggered by it. Keep your powder dry. Cool head. I've said this before. Any soldier, any boxer, any fighter of any type will tell you, you never go into a fight angry. Soldiers aren't angry when they're in battle. Aggression is a tool. It's a tool. You've got to be able to switch it off, switch it on, like that, in an instant. It's a tool. It's like using a hammer. It's like using a saw. If you go into a fight and you're angry, you'll lose the fight because you're not controlled. You're not composed. You're not thinking straight. You're not thinking logically. If you can control your aggression, that's it. You can use it as a tool. Peaceful, cool, tools down. Exactly. There are other ways. As Obi-Wan Kenobi said, there are other ways to fighting. Fun fact, they didn't arrest her for putting the flag there. They arrested her for having the flag outside of the designated protest zone. Oh my God. It's just bogus, isn't it? Have we heard anything else about Callum? Has he actually been released? I know he was arrested on, I saw the video where the police officer said he's been arrested for, was it inciting racial hatred, or was it, I don't know what it was, inciting racial hatred. Does anybody know why he was actually arrested? What he said or what he did that made them arrest him? Because I haven't heard anything about that yet. I don't know the reason why he was arrested. Right, sorry, Keith. I've given you warnings. Now you're gone, Keith. Right, I'm not having anybody in the chat saying go to number 10 and riot, because that's just stupid. For one thing, I don't agree with it. Another thing, it might get my live stream banned, and I might get banned off of YouTube. People don't think about these things. I don't normally ban people, but yeah, do my head in. Yeah. Just don't kick off. Would use the logic against the left. Exactly. I've said this in other videos, right? The thing that really annoys the left, and we've seen it. We've seen the way they react to it. They absolutely hate you when you're patriotic. Being patriotic is enough. You don't need to riot. Just stand there, peacefully protesting, and just be patriotic. That triggers them more than anything, because you're showing them everything they hate about themselves. You're being a mirror. You're reflecting everything they hate about themselves back onto themselves. That's all you need to do. Yeah, I did. I gave him a warning. I said, look, don't spam, don't post that stuff. And he just kept on doing it. And there's like big capital letters, everybody riot number 10. It's like, no. That's it, Steve. That's the best way to deal with it. Just laugh at them. They hate it. They absolutely hate it when you laugh at them. Look at Epping. When all they did was have a party, they sang songs at them and laughed at them. They left because they knew they couldn't get any traction. They knew their tactics weren't working. The only reason they come to these things, they're all paid. They're all paid agitators. And when they can't agitate you, they leave. I've heard the police have been going through all his years of tweets looking for anything. They found something where he burned a pamphlet from a charity encouraging illegal immigrants to come to the UK. You're kidding me. Is that why they arrested him? Was that it? Right, okay. Fair enough. But let's face it, it wouldn't be exactly a stretch of the imagination for them to do something like that, would it? That's exactly right, Steve. Like they like get sad faces. They walk with the signs behind, thinking we've not achieved anything. Right, guys, I'm going to call it. It's been a good live stream. I really enjoyed it. Thanks everybody for coming. I'm going to end the live stream. I'm sure you've all got loads of stuff that you want to do. Thanks for coming along, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing, watching my videos. Really appreciate it. And I shall see you all in the next live stream. This is Vindicator signing off. See you all soon.